The Indiana Jones Quadrilogy from 1981 to 2008. I've never been a massive fan of the first Indiana Jones movie. I know it's a classic, and what I have to say was it's not going to change anyone's opinion, but I, as a child, never really particularly enjoyed the first movie, and watching it again, I thought it was quite crude. Some of the action is very poorly filmed. I'm talking about fist fights rather than the car chase stuff. Some of it's quite badly staged. The movie, I think, has actually dated quite a bit. It does feel like a product of a earlier era of filmmaking, and the whole story doesn't really go anywhere because the bad guys win, really, but in winning they kill themselves by accident. So the whole story is slightly on the pointless side, not that it really matters. I just don't think the movie's that great. It's a little crude, and I just don't. I found myself oddly disengaged. I never really enjoyed it all that much, and it was. I wouldn't call it a chore, but I did not actually enjoy it. But it is an acknowledged classic, and I am not saying otherwise. I am merely saying, in my opinion, it's just an above average action movie that has started to date quite significantly, I think. 6 out of 10. The Temple of Doom, 1984, I have enjoyed more in the past. I've preferred it to the first movie. It's, there's a lot of creative, inventive action scenes, and it's another minor classic. I just wasn't very engaged by it, and it was a little droning. It went on a bit, and I just didn't really enjoy it. But it was solid enough. Although there's a whole bunch of cult stuff in the middle, which takes up about 10 minutes, and it's actually quite tedious when Indy gets turned over to the cult and stuff. But, there are some inventive action scenes, especially towards the end, with the rope bridge and the chase through the mine. But I would only give it 6 out of 10. Now, the Indiana Jones movie I've always loved the most by some distance is The Last Crusade. I think the introduction of Sean Connery as the father is a massive help, and I guess it just gives Indiana Jones a better, stronger character to bounce off of. The female characters who he bounced off of in the previous movies were not as interesting as Sean Connery, who has charisma to burn and is given funny dialogue. Anyway, I really enjoy the father-son banter between the two characters, and I think the action scenes are very inventive, and I think I've seen it too often though, so the movie doesn't have any great massive impact nowadays. I used to love it, now I would say it's just a good movie. But there are some very funny moments, and I think it is the best of the quadrilogy. I would give it 7 out of 10. Which then leads us to The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, 2008. I don't think it's that bad. I actually think maybe the first hour or more is pretty solid. I've never had a problem with the nuclear bomb surviving it by going into the refrigerator. People laugh at that. Honestly, logically, it adds up. It makes as much sense as anything else does in the movie. I have no hang ups over that. I think it's solidly decent. It's alright. It's got a few occasional clunky moments that don't quite work. The computer generated gophers, for example, are not funny and are just silly looking. It's solidly okay. And then it gets to the Amazon, and there's a big battle on jeeps, and it goes CGI crazy, and it's just tonally very jarring with the Indiana Jones aesthetic, which is very much done for real. I think that's definitely part of its appeal. Computer generated stuff during this, I guess 50s set movie is just weird looking, and it's very cartoony CGI. It's not subtle, and it just gets very CGI heavy, and it definitely loses something, and it just isn't that good from then on. Then it got to the after the waterfalls, I just totally 100% lost interest and decided, you know what, I don't even want to watch this. So I just forwarded through it at times 6 speed just to get the gist of it. I have seen it before, and it's of no interest. What happens after that? It just looks very silly. So I would give the fourth movie 5 out of 10.